What's up, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more trance. And indeed, we're going to listen to some classic progressive trance, some melodic trance as I move a very sleepy kitty. But yeah, we're going to listen to a tune by Lost Tribe, which is one of Matt Darey's aliases. And the track is called Gamemaster. I actually thought it was The Gamemaster for a long time, but just as I went to prepare to shoot the video, I took a closer look, and it actually is just Gamemaster, no definitive or definite article. In any case, yeah, like I said, this is written and produced by Matt Darey. It's 1997. Trying to remember what mixtape I heard this on. It was definitely on one of the mixtapes I got before I got turntables, because it's one of those records that by the time I got turntables I was on the lookout for. Now admittedly, it wasn't one of my absolute favorite tracks. I know a number of people who really thought this was one of the best trance tracks ever. I like it a lot, but I wouldn't quite put it in that category. Regardless, yeah, it took me a little while to get. I'd say it was early Discogs days. So maybe 05, 06. So I've had it for a while, but definitely did not have it in the classic period, even though I knew about it from before I even got turntables. I got turntables summer of '98. In any case, yeah, it's a classic tune. Again, I'm blanking on what mixtape I heard it on, but let's get to it. This is Lost Tribe, aka Matt Darey. It does make a point that the angel vocals are by Mala Moonbeam. So yeah, I'm not sure who Mala Moonbeam is, but shout out to her as well, because the vocals, they're sort of a narrative, or they're sort of, preternaturally scene setting, and they're very much, atmospheric and part and parcel of why I think this tune is so memorable to a lot of people. And, shout out to the Hooge Tunes sort of flavor on the labels. But yeah, let's get it. This is Gamemaster by Lost Tribe, aka Matt Darey, 1997, on Hooge Tunes, and it's Hooge 54. Let's start that at the right tempo. Normally a single-sided, or a track all to itself on one side is 45, but yeah, it's got a little mileage on it. What can you say? It's a 25-year-old record. Atmospheric acid drizzles. Despite what I've said, that it's not quite in my elite pantheon, it is a really good tune. It's definitely, if you went to trance parties in the late 90s, you've heard this at some point. It's like a rainy day or a dream. that rainy day, dreamy atmosphere gives way to a very bright, sunny, awake second half to the tune.
Embracing the goddess energy within yourselves will bring all of you to a new understanding and valuing of life, a vision that inspires you to live and love on planet Earth. Like a priceless jewel buried in dark layers of soil and stone, Earth radiates her brilliant beauty into the caverns of space and time. Perhaps you are aware of those who watch over your home and experience it as a place to visit and play with reality. You are becoming aware of yourself as a game master.
Hits, the acid dribbles, that uplifting like main melody, still the dreamy one kind of waving through, of course. Angelic vocals. Hard not to imagine, given the commentary and the sonic atmosphere, like verdant, like rich green earth, brimming with life. Those angelic vocals, sort of more crucial layer than I remember. Now again, if you're mixing out here, like, it's an interesting thing, right? Like, it's such a great tune, but like, this last part, to me, makes it a track you don't really finish a set with. Like, unless you kill it right at that end part. Like, this is too, like everyone's just waiting for it to end. Yeah, bottom line, as a DJ, I don't mind, like, a long outro, but at the same time, I like records that have sort of, like, the final 32 will be without a kick, and it'll have, you know, like, an atmospheric or, you know, an element that is representative of the track overall. It's not just, like, a kick and a hat like that. So yeah, to me, I feel like you have a long outro, but then have like a final section where it like it sort of has an atmospheric ending, or like an ending that is more definitive and where it doesn't feel like the track ends. And then you have like another 64 where it's like, you can beat match, you can mix out. But again, even if you were going to mix out, I think you would start like the transition before you get to that last 64 where it's like really, really stripped down. Because otherwise the energy of your set will basically, it'll trough, and then you have to pull it back up by the time you get to the sort of secondary intro of your next tune. Yeah, bottom line, DJ considerations aside, I think it is a classic track. Very sort of like emotional in terms of, it feels less emotional like on a personal level, but like emotional in terms of, feeling a connection, not just to other living things, but to the planet overall, and just, to the universe, to other like things that matter, if you will. Yeah, bottom line, I think the tune achieves what it sets out to create that sort of like, a utopian vision where, humans are perhaps less destructive to the planet on which they are lucky enough to live, as my cat is somehow really intrigued by something. In any case, yeah, let me know what you think of the tune. I'm going to react to a few trance tracks. I've been rolling around reacting to hardcore, acid trance, acid techno, and so on. I feel like melodic trance is something that I've underserviced a bit because it's one of the genres that characterized the start of me buying records, which is to say I knew about acid techno and acid trance by the time I got turntables in '98. But when I went to a lot of record shops, number one, acid techno and acid trance was a little harder to find, at least at the shops that I was going to in Southern California. And to be fair, that may not be entirely on the shops. That's more like I didn't know quite what I was looking for. Yeah, I knew a few names, but I didn't necessarily know what labels they were on, because when I was hearing some of these tracks in the earliest days, they were on compilations. And some of them really didn't list like the original, like release that they came from. So yeah, it took me a little while to get more acid techno and acid trance, but I'd say of the first 100 records I got, I'd say at least half, if not more, were like progressive, like melodic trance. I like to think in many cases, not the sort of like, the tracks that became these big hits in the late 90s trance scene, which sort of led to the early 2000s trance scene. There were a lot of tracks that got caned again and again and again, and I would go to trance parties on the weekends in the sort of, LA/SoCal rave scene. There's some tracks I'd hear again and again and again, and I felt like, hey, it's a cool tune, and I respect that there's multiple DJs who want to play that, but I felt like, man, there's some really good trance tracks that are apparently a bit more obscure, a bit less known, and man, I'd love to play at some of these parties. And then, by very late 99, beginning of 2000 especially, I did get to play a few dozen rave parties over the next couple years, so I did end up playing some of those tunes, although by then I had gotten more acid trance and hard house and hard trance, and so by the time I started playing parties, most of the sets I played were like a mixture of hard house, hard trance, and acid trance. So in any case, enough yammering, but like I said, I'm going to react to more melodic trance. Let me know what you think of this one. I will see you next time. Peace.